Hello everyone, very good morning. Okay, so in previous video of class 11, we discussed about the general characters of gymnosperms, isn't it? So the continuation of the topic, that is about the general characters of the gymnosperms. So where we left with the classification of gymnosperms, isn't it? So where you have studied the in detail characters of gymnosperms. So you know that the plant body is a sporophyte and it is differentiated into root, stem and leaf. So they mainly have taproot system, and the taproots of some gymnosperms, they have symbiotic association with fungi, that is what is called as mycorrhizal association. So they have two kinds of leaves, like foliage leaves or photosynthetic leaves, and the scaly leaves, isn't it? So they have vascular bundle. Vascular bundles are conjoined, collateral, and open type of vascular bundles can be seen in the gymnosperm. Remember the main things: the xylem of the gymnosperm, they lack trachea or the vessels, and whereas the phloem, that lacks the companion cells. Okay, exception for the member what is called as the gnetum. Okay, so where the gnetum that bears both the vessels as well as the companion cells. Okay, so they bear the orthotropous ovule, it means the straight ovule, and they are unitechnic. Unitechnic means they have only one integumentary layer. Okay, one integument with the three different layers like outer, inner, and the middle one. Outer and inner, which are usually spongy, and the middle one, which is stony in nature. Okay, so where the ovules that encloses the archegonia, and pollination is said to be direct in gymnosperm. So these are all the characters that you have studied in the last video. Okay, so today I'm going to explain about the classification of gymnosperms, how gymnosperms are classified. Okay, see, gymnosperms were majorly classified into three classes, like Cycadopsida, then the second one Coniferopsida, and the third one is Gnetopsida. Okay, we can classify gymnosperms into three classes like Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, and Gnetopsida. So Cycadopsida members. Okay, so let us begin with the first one, that is the Cycadopsida. Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida, and Gnetopsida, they are the three different groups in the gymnosperms. So the first one, Cycadopsida. Okay, see, the members of Cycadopsida, they are the primitive gymnosperms, and which resembles most of the characters with the pteridophytes, the advanced members of the pteridophytes. So that is the ferns. It means the members of Cycadopsida, they share the characters of the ferns. Ferns are nothing but the pteridophytes, you know. So where the pteridophytes, the ferns are the advanced members in the pteridophytes. The similar characters, some of the characters which retained in these members also. Okay, and these plants are considered as the connecting link between the gymnosperms and the pteridophytes. Okay, especially for example a plant what is called as a cycas. Cycas is considered as a living fossil. It is considered as a living fossil mainly because it can act as a connecting link between the pteridophytes and the gymnosperms. It shares the characters of both the group, the pteridophytic characters also, as well as the gymnospermic characters also. Okay, so let us look into the characters of the members of Cycadopsida. Okay, see here, the plant body, these members, especially the stem is unbranched. The stem is unbranched with numerous, the stem is unbranched with numerous leaf scars on the surface. So that is a characteristic feature of gymnosperms. You know, the stem is unbranched, especially in the members of Cycadopsida. So where with the numerous leaf scars on its surface. Okay, so leaves born at the apex. Leaves born at the apex in the form of a crown. Leaves will born at the apex of the stem. So just like this. Suppose if this is a plant body, so where the leaves will born at the apex in the form of a crown. Okay, so just like palm tree, you remember the palm trees, you observe the coconut or the areca nut or any palm tree. See these members, especially the cycas plant, that resemble a palm tree in its appearance. Okay, so where it is having an unbranched stem and it bears a crown of leaves at the apex. Okay, so what is the fern character here? The leaves are pinnately compound. It It's a pinnately compound. You know what is a pinnately compound leaf? So where the simple leaf or the lamina is divided into many small leaf-like structures, they are what is called as pinna or leaflet. Here also the leaves are pinnately compound, and that is a character with the fern. Okay, pinnately compound, and where it shows the younger leaves shows succinate vernation. This is again a character with a fern. Succinate vernation. The younger leaves which show succinate vernation. Okay, so that is where the younger leaves they fold up. Okay, so that is a character of the fern. They show succinate vernation. Okay, then both male and female plants are separate. Male and female plants are separate. Totally, plants are separate. Male and female plants are separate. It means the plant is dioecious in nature. Okay. Okay. So plants are dioecious. Dioecious means male and female plants which are separate. Okay. So the male plant that bears the male cone. Male plant bears the male cone that is produced by the aggregation of microsporophylls. You remember all these plants are heterosporous. Gymnosperms as well as the angiosperms, and some members of the pteridophytes, they are heterosporous in nature. They produce two different kinds of spores. Okay, and where you know the microspores which develops within the microsporangia, and microsporangia which are born on microsporophylls. Similarly, the megaspores born within the they produce within the megasporangia, and the megasporangia that bonds on a sporophyll, that is what is called as a megasporophyll. Okay, see here in case of cycas, where the male cone that develops, that is by the aggregation of the microsporophylls. Okay, but female cone doesn't develops. Female cone that doesn't develops because there is no female megasporophylls which are not compactly arranged or which are not aggregated to form a cone, which are freely arranged. The megasporophylls which are freely arranged, which are not compactly arranged. Okay, that's why female cone is not produced in the female plant body, but at the apex it bears a free megasporophylls. Each of the megasporophyll that bears 6 to 8 ovules. Okay, 6 to 8 ovules can be seen on the megasporophyll, on each megasporophyll. So, but they do not aggregate it compactly to form the cone. But male cone is produced. Microsporophylls which aggregate to produce male cone. Okay. So, whereas a special character that can be seen here, that is the symbiotic association with the cyanobacteria like Anabaena or Nostoc, where we can see symbiotic association with Anabaena or Nostoc. We can see symbiotic association with Anabaena or Nostoc in the coralloid roots. Coralloid roots. So what is these coralloid roots? Coralloid roots are the negatively geotropic roots, which may grow on the surface of the soil. Positively geotropic means the root that always grows towards the gravity. It grows towards the gravitational force. You know that always the roots that bends and that grows towards the soil, isn't it? Such a roots are said to be positively geotropic. What is geotropism? That is bending movement of roots towards the stimulus or plant organ, towards the stimulus of gravity is called as geotropism. So when the roots which come up the soil, they grow above the surface of the soil, such roots are said to be negatively geotropic. It means they do not grow within the soil, hence they are considered as negatively geotropic roots. Okay. So one of the kind what is called as coralloid roots. Coralloid roots which are also negatively geotropic in nature. It means they do not grow within the soil or beneath the soil, just above the surface of the soil. They creep just above the surface. It means we can see the coralloid roots on the surface of the soil. So they are negatively geotropic roots. Within that they bear Anabaena and Nostoc. It means they show symbiotic association with Anabaena or the Nostoc. Okay. So a member of the Cycadopsida called as Zamia. This is the smallest gymnosperm. Zamia. Okay, this is the smallest gymnosperm, where it shows the stem is underground in this plant. Stem is underground in this plant. Underground. So where it bears a tuberous stem. Underground tuberous stem that can be seen in plant called as Zamia. Okay. So this is about the characters of the Cycadopsida, the class Cycadopsida. Okay, so let us go with the next class, that is the class Coniferopsida. Okay, the second class in the gymnosperm, that is the class Coniferopsida. Class Coniferopsida. So all these plants which are commonly called as conifers, all the plants which are commonly known as conifers. Okay, so they were commonly called as conifers because of their appearance. The plants will look like a cone in appearance. That's why the plants of this group are called as Coniferopsida. Okay, so these plants which are very much tall, the tall trees, the plants which belongs to the Coniferopsida, which are very tall trees, and they show branching, the stem showing branching. So like monopodial branches, the stem is showing branches. Okay, mono means towards one side, the growth or the branches towards one side, monopodial branches, not like the dichotomous branches. Okay, and it bears two kinds of shoots. Shoot is nothing but the aerial part of the plant body. The plants will bear two kinds of shoots. Shoot is nothing but the aerial part of the plant body. One is the branches of limited growth, and another one is the branches of unlimited growth. Branches of limited growth. Okay, so branches of limited growth and branches of unlimited growth. Limited growth. So they were also called as dwarf shoots. It means they have their growth is limited. They do not too much extend. They have a very limited growth, or they have a very short growth. Such branches are said to be dwarf branches or branches of limited growth. Okay, and whereas on the other hand, branches of unlimited growth, there are two kinds of branches were observed here. One is the branches of limited growth. They are what is called as dwarf shoots. They have a very limited growth. They do not extend that much, unlike the other branches. They are said to be branches of limited growth. Okay, they are also called as dwarf shoots. Whereas on the other hand, branches of unlimited growth, they are called as long shoots or long branches. The dwarf shoot, the branches of limited growth are called as dwarf. Dwarf means short, and whereas branches of unlimited growth, they are what is called as long shoots. Okay, so their growth is very lengthy. So that's why they are said to be, they have unlimited growth. And whereas long shoots, so where these are the branches of unlimited growth. They grow, their growth is not limited. Okay, so they can grow for any length. So that's why they are said to be unlimited branches, or they are also called as long shoots. Okay. So these members, the roots of especially the Coniferopsida members, so where that shows the roots that shows symbiotic association with the fungi, that is what is called as mycorrhiza. The roots of these plants, especially the members of Coniferopsida, they show symbiotic association with the fungi, and that is what is called as mycorrhizal association. The roots of these plants, especially the tap roots, they show symbiotic association with the fungi, that is what is called as mycorrhizal association. Okay, so where the fungi that helps in fixation of nitrogen and providing other essential elements for the plant body, in turn the plant body that provides the food and shelter for the fungi. So that's why both are living in symbiotic association. Okay, and another important character of these members, so where the plants are rich with the tanniferous cells, the cortex of the plants which are rich with the tanniferous cells, so where they store tannins. Okay, they store tannins. They are rich with the tanniferous cells. So where these plants, they bear the cones, male and female cones in the same plant body. In the same plant body. It means the plants are not separate here. Okay. So both the male as well as the female cones which are produced in the same plant. They are not like in case of the Cycadopsida like the cycas. Okay, so where male plant is separate and female plant is separate, but here in these plants both the male as well as the female cones, they develop in the same plant body. Okay, so where we can see a giant tree in this group, that is Sequoia sempervirens. Sequoia sempervirens, this is the tallest tree, this is a giant tree or tallest tree in the world. Sequoia gigantea or Sequoia sempervirens, this is the tallest tree in the world. Okay, so especially the plants which can grow into a maximum height. Okay, So nearly 200 to 250 feet can be seen. So this is the tallest tree, that is Sequoia sempervirens. So the other members of this, like Pinus. Okay, Pinus is a common member of the class Coniferopsida. Pinus, then Sequoia, then Arcaria. Okay, so all these members are the examples for the Coniferopsida. Sequoia, Pinus, Arcaria, then Thuja. Okay, so other members, they are the examples for Coniferopsida. Okay, then the next group of plants is what is called as Gnetopsida. The next group is said to be the Gnetopsida. See, Gnetopsida, it is the advanced member in the gymnosperms. The best example is Gnetum. The species what is called as Gnetum, it is an advanced member in the gymnosperm. Here, the plants may be shrubs. The plants may be shrubs or smaller trees. They are not large as like the Coniferopsida members. Here the plants may be shrubs or they may be smaller trees, or sometimes they may be woody climbers. The plants may be woody climbers here. Woody climbers are what is called as lianas. Woody climbers are known as lianas. Woody climbers means, you know what are climbers. Climbers means with the plants which climbs up on the other plants. For example, like the tendril bearing plants are common weak stemmed plants. Okay, so those plants like betel nut, so where the plant that can climb over the other plant. So those plants which are having weak stems, they are commonly called as climbers. Usually they climb up on the other plants. But here the plants may be woody climbers, where the stem is very much hard and the stem is woody in nature, and such woody climbers are what is called as the lianas. Okay. Okay, so they are what is called as lianas. Okay. So lianas are nothing but the woody climbers. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಬಳ್ಳಿಗಳು ಅಂತ. So in Kannada common ಆಗಿ ಬಳ್ಳಿಗಳು ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ weak stem ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So they take the support of the other plants, isn't it? But these plants which are having hard, very woody stem. So such plants, woody climbers are said to be lianas. Okay. So for example, a member called as Gnetum ula. A plant called as Gnetum ula. So this is a liana. It means that is a woody climber. Okay. So these plants which are the advanced, as I said, the advanced members in the gymnosperm, especially the plants like Gnetum. So where the vascular bundles, here also they are conjoined, collateral and open type of vascular bundles can be seen. So but the xylem, it possesses the trachea or vessels. Xylem that possesses trachea or vessels. So that is the advancement in gymnosperm. And Gnetum can be considered as a connecting link between the angiosperms and the gymnosperm, because it resembles, it is having most of the characters that resembles the angiosperms. Okay. So where xylem is having trachea, and whereas phloem that consists of companion cells, especially in Gnetum, the xylem is having trachea and phloem is consists of companion cells, because they are the characters of the angiospermic plants. Okay, the presence of vessels or trachea or companion cells, that is the characters of angiosperm. So but that can be also seen in these members, that is in the members of Gnetum or Gnetopsida members, especially in Gnetum. And as I said, the Gnetum plant that resemble exactly a dicot angiospermic plants. So where it is having the leaves of this plant that belongs to or that resembles a leaf of a dicot plant. So where the plant that produces dorsi-ventrally differentiated leaves. The plant that produces dorsi-ventrally differentiated leaves. It means the leaves can be differentiated into two surfaces, like dorsal surface and the ventral surface. So just compare a leaf of a dicot plant. Take a leaf of a hibiscus plant. You compare both the surfaces. So where the outer surface or the upper surface, that is dark green in color when compared with the lower surface, isn't it? It means the dorsal surface is dark green in color, whereas the ventral surface which is pale in color or pale green in color. That is because of the main reason. So what surface to expose to sunlight? The surface that is exposing to sunlight, that is darker in color than the other surface which is not exposed to direct sunlight. Okay, similar leaves can be seen in Gnetum, where the leaves which are dorsi-ventrally differentiated. But you compare with the other members of the gymnosperm. So where in gymnosperms the leaves, it may be needle-like, okay, or the leaves may be smaller. But here in case of Gnetum, the leaves is broader, and where the leaf is dorsi-ventrally differentiated, just like a leaf of a dicot plant. You couldn't identify this as a gymnosperm until it bears the naked ovules or the naked seeds or the cones. The exception is it doesn't bear the flower. It doesn't bear the fruit. So by bearing the cones and by bearing the naked seeds, this is a gymnosperm. Okay, but majority of the characters that resembles an angiospermic plant. Hence, gnetum can be considered as a connecting link between the angiosperms, gymnosperms and the angiosperms. Okay. So whereas the ovules in Gnetopsida members, which do not possess archegonia, but the archegonia is represented only by the egg. So there is no structures like neck and venter, where the archegonia is represented only by the egg. Okay, so this is again the advanced character of the gnetum, okay, or Gnetopsida members. So that resembles the angiospermic plants. Okay, so this is all about the classification of the gymnosperms. So where you have studied about the three classes like Cycadopsida, Coniferopsida and Gnetopsida. Cycadopsida, among that it is a primitive members of the gymnosperm. Okay, so they are considered as a living fossil. So the plant body bears an aerial stem, or the stem may be underground in case of Zamia. Stem is unbranched, bears many number of leaf scars on the stem. So presence of pinnately compound leaves. Leaves are arranged in the form of a crown, and that is showing the succinate vernation. The leaves are showing succinate vernation. Okay, so that is a character of a fern. Whereas when it comes to the Coniferopsida members, the plants are very larger. They are the larger trees. Okay, so they show two kinds of branches of limited growth and branches of unlimited growth. Limited growth means their growth is limited, or definite growth can be seen. They can grow to a definite length. Beyond that, they cannot further grow. Okay, but branches of unlimited growth, they grow continuously. Okay, so where they bear the taproots with the mycorrhizal association. I'm talking about the Coniferopsida member, mycorrhizal association and stem in Coniferopsida. So that is what is called as the wood is said to be the pycnoxylic wood. You remember the manoxylic and pycnoxylic wood. Manoxylic wood means the wood with the rich amount of parenchyma, less with the xylem. Whereas the pycnoxylic wood is nothing but with the more amount of xylem and less with the parenchyma. Hence pycnoxylic wood, which is more durable. So especially the members of Coniferopsida, they can be used in the manufacture of varieties like the furnitures and other things, even the railway compartments also. Okay, so where it can be used as a timber. Mainly it can be used as a timber. Okay, that is the members of Coniferopsida, and tannins and resins that can be extracted from these members, that is the members of Coniferopsida. Okay, and whereas when it comes to the Gnetopsida members, so where they are the advanced members in the gymnosperms, especially the gnetum, so where it shows majority of the characters or shares characters with the angiosperms. Hence it can be considered as a connecting link between gymnosperms and the angiosperm, like presence of dorsiventrally differentiated leaf, that is similar to the angiospermic plants. Then presence of trachea in xylem, presence of companion cells, absence of archegonia, having only one egg, or archegonia is represented only by the ovum or the egg within the ovule. So all of these characters which resembles the angiospermic plants. Okay, so this is all about the classification of the gymnosperms. Okay, so next video or next class we'll start with the next group of plants. Actually in your syllabus angiosperms has been removed. Okay, so because of this COVID and all, 30% of the syllabus has been cut down, isn't it? So in that angiosperms have been removed, but we cannot forget to study, or we cannot forget those groups of plants, because it is one of the major groups of plants, so that's why we have to concentrate on angiosperms also. Okay, so though it is not there in your syllabus for this year, but they are the very most important groups of plants, most diversified plants. So then we have to study the characters or the general characters of the angiosperms also. Okay, not for the sake of, only for the purpose of examination. Exam ಈ ಸಲ ಇಲ್ಲ ಸಿಲೆಬಸ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತೆಗೆದುಬಿಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ಬೇಡ ಅನ್ನೋಂಥದ್ದು ಬೇಡ. So we will study about the angiosperm in the next video. Okay.